Hi, my name is Lisa Roberts, and I'm one of the directors of the STEAM Museum. I've worked in museums my whole life. I love museums. There's so many different kinds, and they have so many cool things in them, and they play this really important role of preserving the world's natural and cultural heritage and telling the stories of that heritage. And one of the most important ways they do that, of course, is by creating exhibits. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about exhibit development, and more specifically how objects are used in exhibits to tell a story. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to visit one of my favorite museums in Chicago, the Field Museum of Natural History. So museums have all these collections, millions of objects. How do they decide what to put on display and what to say about them? You have a collection of artifacts now. How are you going to decide that? Well, there's a couple of ways to think about it. One is you start with your collection and you see if it suggests a story that supports your key message. The other is you start with the story you want to tell that relates to your key message, and you select artifacts that support that story. Both approaches are used at different times and both are valid. So we're going to go into one of the galleries now, the Hall of the Ancient Americas, where I want to show you an example of how objects are used to tell stories. So here we are in a part of the gallery that's devoted to the ancient peoples of southwestern United States. And what I want to show you here is how a particular artifact, in this case these black and white painted pots, take on different meanings and stories depending on how they're displayed. So here we see a very traditional taxonomic display. Lots of pots side by side. This is a really nice way for a museum to showcase its collection and for visitors to be able to compare a group of similar objects side by side. Then we come to a second display, which shows the same pots as they might have been found by an archaeologist in the ground, broken in pieces like a puzzle, before they're collected and studied and put back together. So this is a second context within which we might understand and talk about these pots, the way they were found in the first place. Then we move out here into more of an open display. And we look around and we see more of a context for where these pots initially existed. And we go over here to this case and we see those same pots again, but this time they're being used to talk about the significance of their patterns and design, and how different patterns might tell us something about exactly where they came from and who made them. Then we look up here and we're walking along and we see this great depiction of village life, and we come along and over here, look, there are those pots again. Here we see an exhibit which is talking about how a parent might have taught a child to paint the pot. And we know that because the pot on the right was painted by somebody with far less experience than the pot on the left, which was much more refined. And then we look up and we see two women doing something with the pots. It looks like they may be painting the pots. And so here we can see how they might appear in the context of the village where they're being made. And then closing in, we keep walking along and we see an actual reproduction of a Pueblo home where the people might have lived. So we're going to go inside. There's rooms. We'll go through the rooms. We're going to turn the corner. And we see things displayed down here, much as they might exist in somebody's own home. And then here, over in this corner, there they are again. Only this time, these pots are reproductions that visitors can touch and play with and imagine what it would be like to use. So all these different ways of displaying the same thing, all these different ways of seeing them and experiencing them, all different stories.